On her very first day of training, Claire Evans was called a paper soldier, someone born for paperwork, too fragile to lift a real weapon. One soldier even grabbed her wrist and sneered, "Let's check for chalk dust, Professor." But when the gloves slipped and revealed the faintly carved numbers 43124, the desert winds seemed to freeze. Conversations died mid-sentence. A nearby major exhaled like he'd seen a ghost. The Shadow Brigade. I didn't think she was still alive. And then someone whispered the name almost no one dared speak. The Red Falcon. Summer tactical camp was no retreat. It was punishment disguised as training. A valley so dry the ground cracked like broken glass beneath your boots. Veterans and civilians trained side by side, soldiers with scarred knuckles, doctors with soft hands, engineers, analysts, anyone who wanted to prove they belonged in a world built on grit. Days began before sunrise with runs over jagged trails. Nights ended with evaluations from officers whose eyes said one thing: "You're already failing." Claire Evans didn't fit the picture. 27, 5'4", fair skin flushed easily under the sun, bright blue eyes always fixed on the ground. Her uniform hung a little loose, her name tag crooked, her boots mud-soaked, her hair pulled back so tight it looked painful. And she carried a notebook everywhere, scribbling maps, strategies, quietly asking permission even to breathe. To the rest of the recruits, she looked like someone who'd taken a wrong turn into the wrong life. Her reputation preceded her like a curse, top of her class at the academy, yet no combat record, no scars, no stories. The others decided she must be a pampered girl from a powerful family, someone who studied war from behind a desk but would crumble if asked to crawl through dirt. The nickname Paper Soldier spread fast, whispered behind her back, muttered in the mess tent, said to her face with smirks that asked her to react. She never did. She just kept her head down, her pencil moving, her boots crunching through the dust like insults were nothing but background noise. The first tactical drill was chaos. Smoke grenades, blanks exploding, people shouting over each other. Claire stood off to the side, sketching the terrain with razor-sharp precision. Sergeant Hargrove stormed toward her, voice like a chainsaw. "Evans, you're a file clerk. Stay on the sidelines. Don't make your team drag you out." Brody, with his buzzcut and permanent smirk, leaned to his buddy and snickered. "Top of her class, thinks she's special forces." Laughter rippled. Claire didn't look up. She only flipped a page and kept drawing. Gear inspection was worse. Kelsey, ponytail tight enough to pull skin, kicked Claire's neatly packed gear into the dirt. "Oops, didn't see your toy bag." Jensen, the wiry civilian who worshipped the veterans, added, "Bet there's a diary in there, crying schedule and all." Claire picked up her things silently, her hand steady, her jaw locked. The silence made them angrier. In the mess tent, Tanner leaned over her map. Lost, libraries back in town. Claire folded the map, met his eyes once with unsettling calm, and said softly, "Libraries closed." Tanner faltered, thrown off by her quiet confidence. The moment passed, but a crack formed in the group's certainty. During a nighttime ambush planning session, she spotted a blind spot no one else noticed. Jensen laughed and threw a paper ball at her, but Instructor Vargas quietly circled her suggestion and used it. The next day, the drill succeeded only because of her call. Nobody admitted it, but Vargas gave her a small nod as he walked by. When she warned the team about drone surveillance in a narrow valley, they laughed again. The next morning, a real military drone flagged enemy positions exactly where she predicted. Brody's face burned red. Hargrove mumbled something that almost sounded like regret. But the cruelty didn't stop. During a trust fall, Malone deliberately stepped aside, letting her slam into the ground. The thud silenced the entire group. Claire stood, brushed off the dirt, and walked back without a sound. Her silence cut sharper than anger ever could. A week in, she finished a grueling 5-kilometer run dead last. trembling, pale. Hargrove read her scores like a death sentence. Endurance, C. Reaction time, poor. Conclusion, paper soldier. More laughter. Claire only refilled her canteen and kept going. During a navigation drill, her correction prevented the team from walking into a ravine. Instructor Carter handed him his personal compass. "You've got a better eye than most," he said. Claire slipped it into her pocket like she was afraid it might disappear. When the group ambushed her in the rifle shed, Tanner threw her cleaning rag into filthy water. Jensen dangled her rifle out of reach. They closed in, voices sharp. Claire stared at her weapon with eerie stillness. "Put it down," she said quietly. Something in her tone made Jensen drop it. The firing range changed everything. Targets at 900 meters. Most trainees missed entirely. Claire stepped forward. "Permission to use the Barrett M82, sir?" Laughter erupted. She could barely lift it, but Carter nodded. She knelt, lifted the rifle, and fired. 5 shots. 5 direct hits. Not just hits, shattered targets. The range fell silent. Major Reynolds took a photo of the score sheet. No one mocked her this time. That night, Tanner grabbed her wrist again. Her glove slipped. The carved numbers glimmered in the firelight. Major Reynolds froze. "Who authorized that marking?" he whispered. Claire pulled the glove back on. "I didn't want to forget." Reynolds stepped back like he'd seen the impossible. "The Shadow Brigade? You're still alive?" And then everything shifted. But the final cruelty came during a public briefing. Jensen interrupted her report before she could even speak. "Can we get someone who's actually been in a fight?" Laughter. Kelsey chimed in. Malone joked about gold stars. Even Hargrove smirked. Claire finished anyway, voice steady, hands trembling only when she sat down. Then the black military vehicle rolled in. Dust swirled. Silence spread like a shockwave. A colonel stepped out, radiating authority. He scanned the crowd once. "Where's Claire Evans?" Every head turned. Claire stepped forward, calm, quiet, unreadable, like she'd known this moment was coming all along.